Welcome to That Steel.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. They said we would never be back. Today we have a special guest. We've got Leigh from Traverse. How are you, mate?
Good, guys. How are you?
Mate, we are awesome and we're so excited to meet you and see you. Obviously, you're here in person. Man, do you want to tell us about your magazine and what got you into it?
Yeah, we're just a little travel magazine that's based around motorcycles and just take inspiration from people doing crazy shit all around the world.
Yeah, right.
I got into it purely by luck more than anything, bad luck.
Yeah.
Went over the handlebars on a ride through WA and broke my neck and had quite a few months off work, and work made me redundant after that, and the missus said, just go do whatever you want to do.
So, you had a bad accident in Perth. Where were you riding and what were you riding?
I was on my GS riding on the Great Central Road, which is quite an easy dirt road that goes from pretty much Kalgoorlie to the back of Uluru.
Yeah.
And a couple of hundred k's in, I just was chasing after one of the old blokes that was riding with us because he got too far ahead and went into a bus hole, and that was it.
We know the feeling of chasing an old bloke because when we ride on the border bunch, there's an old guy on there called Stewie, and I was like, at the start of the ride, I was like, well, he'll be at the back. Nah, he's so far out the front, you never see him. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, this old guy getting out in front was just by luck more than anything else. There was four of us riding.
Oh, that's what we all say, mate.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Oh, he's lucky. He had a rocket behind his motorbike. Yeah,
whatever. We just set off from Laverton, which is like the last town on the bitumen, and then the dirt starts. And there was four of us riding, myself, my missus, and two old guys, and one of them said, 200 k's in, I've got to stop and have a shit. And my missus is on the internet.
Oh, wow.
Are you serious?
200 k's in. Yeah, Brett's got to have a shit every 10k. It's wild. Yeah.
So the G-force hitting my body, it's just got to push the poo out.
Yeah, I know that feeling. But mine usually gets pushed up. The bounce switches off for a few days. He stopped, and the other guy, Ray, just got too far ahead. And Ray was in his 70s, so I was like, shit, I better catch up because if he stacks, it's going to be pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I just took off after him, and all I remember was looking down at the speedo going, 110, that's not bad. And then next thing I know, the flying doctors were picking me up. So.
Oh man, this sounds all too familiar. All too familiar. I was trying to keep up with my brother on his GS, and I slid out near Tenterfield, straight over the handlebars, woke up. Oh. Yeah, it didn't break my neck, but I was concussed, and we thought I had internal bleeding, but I was fine. Yeah. But it just showed me. When you're on an XT600 old clanger, do not try and keep up with an 800 GS on the dirt roads.
This shit does
And
happen.
what GS were you on?
An 800.
You were on an 800? Yeah. Oh, fantastic bike. Probably.
All loaded up.
So you've come off, and what happened after that? Did your missus find you? Did your friends find you?
Yeah, the missus and the other guy caught up to me.
Yeah, and you were KO'd, or?
Yeah, I was underneath the bike. I mean, I don't really remember anything of it.
Yeah.
It was a pretty hard hit. My GPS tracker said I went from 100 to 0 in 1 metre or something. And it looks like the bike actually dug in and spat me over the bars, and the bike went straight up in the air, like the forks compressed and then shot it up in the air, and it came down and went on the back of my head.
Oh!
And caved all the helmet in and twisted it around on my head and all sorts of shit.
Oh, really?
So the others found me, and I was still conscious apparently because the missus was on the intercom, crying out, where the hell is he? I can't see him. And then I said, stop fucking swearing, I'm under the bike.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Wow.
Gee, and so the next you remember you wake up and you're in a plane, or?
No, I remember little bits and pieces. I remember a car coming along that had two Taiwanese travellers in it, and one of them was a nurse.
Oh.
And I remember sort of trying to push her away. By this stage, I was sort of not fully paralysed, but I was sort of semi-paralysed all down my right-hand side. I could feel stuff, but I couldn't move. And I knew that I'd broken my collarbone, but I wasn't sure about the rest of it.
Yeah.
And so she started cutting off my jacket, and I'm trying to push her away, like, fuck off, don't cut my jacket.
Yeah. And that's $800. Yeah.
And they were like, well, we've already cut your helmet off and cut the straps to get it off my head and.
Oh, really?
Like that. And I didn't even realise they'd taken the helmet off.
Because you're in like fucking delirium or whatever,
Land, yeah.
And
I kept asking them, so when do we get to Broken Hill? And they're like, that was fucking a week ago.
Oh, wow.
No, we get there today. And I kept trying to convince them we were on the way to Broken Hill, and they're like, no. And they're sort of panicking, like, shit, what's going on now?
Yes.
And then the missus said the next thing that happened to me was I started crying and said, I'm going to fucking get rid of this motorbike and get a caravan. And she went, push the PLB. If he's talking about getting a caravan, there's something serious.
Oh, really? So you had the locating device on you, and which we now carry after Nick's big crash and a flare.
Yeah.
And you hit that, and and emergency services came within like an hour or whatever?
At the time, I was using a Spot, like a Spot Gen 3. And they get a pretty bad rap, but ours worked well on the day.
Yeah.
It goes to America. America assesses where they need to contact, and then they contact the emergency services in Australia, and then they send someone out.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, there was a guy coming from one of the gold mines out there who had a sat phone. So our group rang 000, and they said, yeah, we've already got your location. The cops and an ambulance is on its way.
Oh, God.
So they came from Leigh and sorted me out, and then took me back to town, and the flying doctors came in a couple of hours later.
Oh man, now this is the craziest part of the story for me. You've got a partner that rides.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
This is incredible. This is all I've taken away from this. Like,
when we first got together...
So what's your partner's name? Sorry?
Megan.
Megan, right, yeah.
When we first got together, I had a Ducati, just an old mid-90s 900 SS.
Yeah.
And she was like, if you want to make this work, you got to get rid of that bike.
Really?
So I was like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Bike.
Yeah.
I thought about it for a couple of weeks and thought, all right, I'll get rid of the bike.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I was without a bike for a couple of years, and then thought, how can I get her into this? So I went and bought a little cruiser,
Yeah.
put her on the back of it, took her around the block, and she said, I fucking hate it. I'm not going to ride.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
And by then I'd done a charity ride up to New South Wales about 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And she flew up to Sydney to meet me.
Yeah.
And while we were up there, she went, I get why you ride bikes now. Watching 400 blokes all ride into Darling Harbour and all get emotional. She said,
the sense of community and stuff like that, yeah.
And so she said, I want to do the next one. I said, the next one's to Cairns.
Yeah.
And she went, all right, I'm going to buy a little 250, I'm going to learn how to ride, and I'm coming with you. And I'm like, oh, fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, that's the double-edged sword, because you go, oh, that's exciting, you're coming, but god damn it, now I've got to baby you through this. Yeah.
So I made it hard for her deliberately. I said to her, all right, go get your learners, and then you've got to get 10,000 Ks up before you come with me. You've got 12 months to do it.
Yeah.
I was thinking she'll never do it, but she did it.
Yeah.
Every weekend, when are we going for a ride? Where are we going? Let's go camping somewhere.
Yeah.
Really, that's awesome.
Oh man, yeah, and it probably like brought you closer together.
Yeah.
So there's probably some times we needed some relationship counselling.
Well, there was one time when she fell off on the Great Ocean Road, and the first thing I thought about was the bike. And she caught up to me, and the bike's all twisted, and the side was all taken out of it, and she's like, just looking at me. I'm like, what the fuck have you done to the bike? And she's like, I am okay, you know. And I'm like, oh shit.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I was worried about you as well.
Yeah.
So just going back, taking a little back step. But so you, after you come off the bike, so you woke up in hospital, and what do they say? The doctor said because you've broken your neck at this stage.
It was sort of before that actually. When I was in a hospital in Leigh, a few things happened there where I knew it wasn't quite right.
All right.
When they first started talking about the flying doctors having to come, and they were going to put me into some sort of intensive care before I got onto the plane, and
Jesus.
And it was a bit of a worry, and the whole community of Leigh all got together to help me and sort stuff out. So I was watching that sort of going on in the background, thinking, shit, this is serious, there's something going on. And then the doctors they had in Leigh, and like, this is a community of 100 people or something that services the whole goldfields area.
Yeah.
So they had doctors there that were sort of panicking a little bit.
Oh, they probably haven't seen so much drama in a while,
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Although Ellie, who's the paramedic out there, she said the amount of people that she picks up off that road.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's not a bad road, it's just a well-graded dirt road, really. It gets a bit corrugated, but it's not a bad road.
And what, you think you might have just hit a plot hole?
Yeah, I just went into a bull dust hole.
Oh, bull dust hole, right. Yeah, just stopped you dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that bull dust hole's just like super soft sand.
Yeah, it's like talcum powder. It's really
you just go in and you're fucking done.
Yeah, we don't really get too much of it down here. the little desert, that area has some of it, but it's nothing like out in the...
We were in Tasmania, and I was just going along this muddy track. Same thing.
Yeah.
Just lucky I was going slow. Yeah. I didn't even go over the handlebars, but I fully kicked up like a mule. Did a full-on mule kick.
Yeah.
Did like a front with a mono or whatever. Front wheel stand just straight over the top. I just saw his back tyre. I was like, why is his back tyre up there? And then the front of the bike was. You couldn't even see it. It was in quicksand, like this mud puddle. I was like, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was so good, but I couldn't imagine that happening at 110.
No,
that is wild.
We had a time on the Tanami, coming down the Tanami, that I was a couple of kilometres back behind Megan, and I came around this bend, and she sat in the middle of the road, like literally sat on her bike, stopped dead, feet off the ground, just sat down. I'm like, Jesus, what happened? She said, I was lucky, I saw it, but I couldn't slow down enough. So she dropped into it, and it just sucked the bike straight in, and it stopped dead.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's fucking scary.
It's shit stuff. It's...
Yeah.
Guys who can ride it are good. Like,
wow.
No,
they're my heroes.
Yeah.
Guys who can ride on that stuff.
Yeah.
So all these doctors are freaked out and stuff like that from this small town going, fuck, what's going on with your neck or whatever.
Yeah. And
you're all freaking out because they're freaking out. Yeah. And then they got to transport you to what, Kalgoorlie or something?
No, to Perth.
Oh, straight away, straight to Perth.
1,500 k's away or whatever
Yes.
So they flew me in there. But I knew something was wrong as soon as they put the catheter in. I was like, fuck, this is not good. Because if you've ever had one of those, it's...
I've never had one, thank God.
It's like someone trying to drive a truck into a garage made for a Mini or something. It's not cool.
Yeah, I don't ever want to get to that stage where I have to piss through a fucking... I'm holding already. I'm like, I'm good. So then you get to Perth or whatever, and the doctors are like, man, your neck's fucked, or what do they say to you?
I got there, I think it was quite late at night, so they sort of just put me into intensive care. I was awake while this was going on, but I was in an intensive care room.
Yeah.
Getting checked on every bloody 15 minutes and everything. And by this stage, I'm not sure that they were so concerned about it. They obviously knew that something was going on, but I must have had some sort of feeling that I couldn't recognise, but they would touch my hands were moving and stuff, so there was something not right, but it wasn't as bad as what they initially thought. Then the next day they did all the scans and everything, and they were like, you've fractured a couple of vertebrae and you've torn all the ligaments off the right hand side, basically from the base of your skull to the top of your shoulders. And they were more concerned about that because the ligaments never healed properly, so...
Yeah, right.
But I was busted up. I broke this collarbone in 2 places, a couple of cracked ribs. Fucking the best bruises you've ever seen.
Yeah, really. And so after the crash, how long were you in hospital for, would you say? How long were you rested up? You couldn't work, couldn't do
anything? I was
anything?
in Perth for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, right. Beautiful. Great. What a great holiday.
Yeah, I'm sure you would have enjoyed the view from the Armidale Hospital in Perth.
In Perth with a broken neck. You're just like, oh no. Yeah, you're missing going really low here.
You're missing the view of the train station. I'm from Perth, I'm allowed to shit on it.
So that happened, and then there was a young doctor who said, we're going to reconstruct your collarbone while you're here. And I'm like, really? And he was like, it'll get it back to normal. There's only a slight risk of something going wrong. I'm like, what's the slight risk? He said, if we nick the nerves, then you'll probably lose feeling in your right arm. I'm like, fuck that. Like, get me a second opinion. And this old bloke came out, he was about 90. I think he was the young kid's boss. And he said, are you an elite athlete? I'm like, do I fucking look like an elite athlete? And he went, no, you'll be fine. You don't need you don't need surgery. Off you go.
Right. So it was like that was an additional risk as well that you
Yeah. I mean, now I've got the perfect collarbone for driving. The seatbelt sits in this little gap here.
Hey, there's a positive to everything.
Yeah, there is.
So after you come over the handlebars, like you mentioned you were working corporate before, you were like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Like, would it take you a year to recover or something like that?
Yeah, pretty much. I was off work for 4 months, and then in a collar for another few months after that. I went back to work. I was at work for a couple of weeks, and then my boss took me aside and said, we're going to make you redundant. And I took it personally. I was like, fuck, I've been off work fucking pretty beaten up, and you sacked me basically. And they were like, no. And it turns out it was a big corporate restructure. They got rid of most management and everything. But I was shitty at the time, and I said to Megan, fuck this, what am I going to do? And she said, look at the positives. You get a decent payout. The TAC have paid you as well.
Yeah.
You know, you've come out with almost a year's salary. Like, just fuck off for a year and do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Get that year back of your life, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So I went for a ride, and you know, after a couple of months,
wow. So
went back home. Oh, not one.
You've got a partner that rides, and then she said this.
Yeah, but I didn't go.
Where do we find one of these?
I didn't go off on one big ride. I wish I had it now. I probably would have gone overseas or something.
To be fair, I think my partner's that stressed when I say I'm going to do something. She's like, "You have no money." So at least you had money. Yeah.
But yeah, then I came home and just said to Megan, "I'm going to go back to what I used to do in the '90s." She was like, "Oh Christ, here we go."
Yeah, you're like, and you get out a big mirror ball of cocaine. Like, I used to party. I was a disco guy. Yeah.
So yeah, that's how Traverse started.
Oh, that is so cool. So you're like, fuck it, you're giving up the corporate life, and then because you're originally like a travel photographer, was that what you were doing?
No, originally I was just working freelance, but covering mostly motor racing. So that was another dream job back in the '90s. But freelance, it was pretty cutthroat.
Especially the '90s as well. You know what I mean? I feel it's like more easy to make connections with people now because of social media and stuff.
It sort of is now, but I think these days it's easier to get ripped off as well.
Yeah,
there's so many young kids who come out of uni and go, "I'll do that job for nothing."
Yeah, I've got a video camera and TikTok. I can do it. Yeah, 100%.
I've utilised those guys heaps of times.
So you're the problem.
There's one of them standing behind that camera there. There's another one behind this one. No, it's me that's taking advantage of. Oh man, that's so cool. So you're like, all right, I'm going to start Traverse the magazine. And what was your first trip, or what was your first idea to get the first magazine up?
The first issue was
that was the word I was looking for. Fuck, man. Get me on 60 minutes.
First little book.
Every time we do this and I try and we interview someone who's like professional, has a cool job, I'm like, and what word thing do you use? And I'm like, oh god, stick to your lane, Brady.
I can't really remember what was in the first issue now. It was about 6 years ago.
Probably because there's a lot of motorbike magazines out there. How are you going to make yours different? More homegirls at the back? More and more. Never ending home. It's all homegirls.
Yeah. Remember the truth?
Yeah.
It's just like that. You know? Or People magazine.
Yeah.
No, we wanted it to be not really about the motorbikes.
Okay.
The motorbikes are just a means of transport.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there's plenty of adventure bike magazines, there's dirt bike magazines.
Yeah.
But can any bike be an adventure bike magazine? An adventure bike?
Yeah.
So, you know, we have people who travel on Harleys, people who travel on postie bikes, people who do Can-Ams, all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
Our feeling is if a bike takes you somewhere you've never been before or makes you feel good, that's an adventure bike.
Yeah, right. And so you're mainly focusing on the people and their stories as well?
Yeah,
nice.
Because the bikes tend to take people to places where a car or a four-wheel drive won't.
Yeah.
You know, someone's got a $100,000 Land Cruiser, they're not going to go in the shitty tracks of Tasmania like you guys did.
No.
Or, you know, go across the desert or something. So it's that sort of thing.
That's where that's also the part that makes me excited about, you know, mainly listening or looking at is like, the bikes are cool. Yeah, how cool is that? But where did you go and what did you know, what hurdles did you overcome and stuff like that? I think that's what's interesting about it. You know?
I find it probably one of the hardest things I find is I don't want my partner to ride. I don't think she should, you know, like one day if we get some acreage around the farm or whatever, just on dirt. Yeah. But I want her to see the world, the way you see the world through a motorbike. Like, it's so much better. Yeah. When you're riding around the hills, I find when you're driving, there's I don't know, there must be the windows or some shit. Yeah, there's a connection that's lost.
You're in a bubble. Katy Perry's playing in the background or some shit. You know what I mean? You go through a drive-through. You're not really connected.
No.
Yeah. But through a motorbike, you're like, wow, this is incredible.
You feel the weather. You feel the conditions of the road.
Yes.
You know, you're hot, you're sweaty, or you're cold and wet.
Yeah.
You're all part of it. You smell everything as well.
That's what I was about to say. My favourite part about being on the bike is smelling. And it's like, whether it's like you pass a dead cow, but you were in that moment, or you're coming into a wet forest and you're like, I don't know, there's something about this, the smell to me, the same with food, it like fucking sucks you into that setting. Yeah, really that's my favourite part of riding, you know, and whether it's fuel or whatever you're passing, you feel a part of it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is too, like if you pull up, particularly if you're on your own or just a small group, you'll pull up somewhere, take your helmets off, and people will swarm around you. They want to know what you've been doing.
Yeah.
It happens everywhere.
That's never happened to us.
They look at us and they go, they've hid 2 bodies in the bush. We know what they've done, and we don't want to be a part of this.
We got cornered by one old guy in Tasmania. That was it, and he just wanted to talk about himself. He was like some rich guy who wanted to talk all about how many motorbikes he had. That was it. That's
he had a crazy amount of mountain bikes and motorbikes and e-mountain bikes, and his wife must have been like, just get out of the fucking house for 4 hours. I don't want to see you. And then he sees 2 guys on motorbikes, and we had a busy day, and we ended up having a 2-hour coffee with this guy, but we didn't get one word in, and I don't think he asked us one question. He just was like, here's my life. Anyway, gotta go, boys. I was exhausted by the end. It was like running a marathon.
However, he did give us some inside goss about the new DR. Apparently, there's a new DR to compete with the Tenere, which is wild. It'll be test road, apparently. Yeah. So I don't know if it's true. But you probably know better than us. This is an urban myth.
A DR that's going to compete with the Tenere.
Yeah, something like that. It was a DR 690 or a DR 670 or something like that.
He claims to know the guy from Suzuki. He claimed a lot of things.
Yeah, he claimed a lot of things.
I want to know. We should have recorded it and written everything down, because I don't think 90% of it was true.
Yeah.
But it was a good yarn, no matter what.
Yeah, we were excited anyway. We were like, oh wow, you know.
Yeah, so and don't let the truth get in the way of it.
Yeah,
mate. Exactly. We never do here at Froth. We love talking shit. So you've got the first episode out, first edition out, and then you're up to what number are you up to now?
33 came out last week. So
that's awesome. So that's 6.5 years of work.
Yeah.
And what would you say, like,
5.5 years.
5.5. What would you say out of that was probably your most favourite and your least favourite ride? This is what I want to know.
Of my rides.
Out of your rides, yeah.
Least favourite would probably be going over the handlebars.
Yeah.
Or during lockdown, I did an iron butt ride.
Yeah, an iron butt ride.
Yeah, you do 1,000 miles in 24 hours.
Oh wow!
So 1,600 k's in 24 hours.
Oh really?
And Kim Jong Dan had locked us in Victoria, so I only had Victoria to ride in.
Yeah.
So I rode down along the coast. Set off at 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was. Down along the coast, then up the border, across Little Desert and Rainbow, Big Desert, that area.
Yeah.
And then came back down through the middle of the state.
And that was grueling?
Yeah, it was hard. Yeah. By the end of it, I was numb. Like, there was no more pain, it was just numbness.
How many hours do you reckon you clocked on the bike?
17 hours.
17 hours. So it's called an iron buck.
Iron butt.
Iron butt?
Yeah.
Ah, right.
That sounds like the next flat stick adventure.
No, I think, like...
Give one a go.
Look, you're much more experienced than me, but I think that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever done. Why would you put yourself in so much danger?
I got home at 10 o'clock at night and Megan was already in bed. I woke her up and she's like, Jesus Christ, are you okay? I'm like, it's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever done. But I can't wait to do the next one.
Yeah, right.
And it was stupid. I mean,
What were you riding? Were you on the GS again? Yeah, I was going to say, at least you got a bit of comfort there, you know? You're not on like an XT or a DR over here. It's fucking awful.
I've got an XP 1600 as well, like a Yamaha Harley. I thought about doing it on that, but legs out like this the whole time.
A Yamaha Harley, I love that phrase. I love that, man. Yeah,
we'll coin that. It's a Yamaha Harley.
Yeah, that is awesome. And so what is that? Are those the only 2 bikes you've got? And do you have any other ones?
They're the only 2 at the moment, and Megan's got a GS as well. Mine's a GSA, so it's the one with the bigger fuel tank and the bigger plastics and stuff. She's just got a standard one.
So she rides an 800.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is. They are. My brother's got one. It's so awesome to ride because they've got sports bike power. It feels like I'm on a sports bike, like something like that.
Yeah, an underpowered sports bike. But they're okay.
Yeah. But it's all like the way it revs is so incredible and just the most comfortable bike.
The good thing about them too, like, is they're pretty simple. Even though they're BMWs, they're pretty simple. Like, if something breaks, like, you can fix it on the side of the road unless it was catastrophic.
Yeah.
You don't have too many electrics or anything like that. Not much can go wrong.
Yeah.
So they are a good bike, and I'm probably biased, but a lot of other people. I was just riding with a guy in Nepal actually who reckons they're the best bike to travel in. He knows, he used to be a BMW trainer, but has ridden all sorts of stuff, and he reckons the 800 is probably the best travelling bike to go around the world on.
Yeah,
Because
right.
you can get parts anywhere. Almost everywhere has a BMW dealer.
Yeah, true.
You might not think that they do, but they do. Like even in
Yeah.
Nepal, there's BMW dealers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We were probably riding on stuff that's pretty technical, but the only time was in Tasmania. I was on a few tracks that were really brutal, and I was like, oh, I've got to bring my brother here. But then I just thought, would we get the 800 out of this? You know, but then I thought you probably would, you know, but you just got to have, you know, 2 or 3 people with you.
Yeah.
Because it was really grueling technical stuff.
Yeah.
But then I thought, yeah, you'd probably get it through it.
Yeah.
You probably would get it through it. Yeah.
I think you've got the right mindset, you can do it.
Yeah.
There's always a way. Like I dropped mine up on the side of Mount Sterling once and got pinned underneath it, head first down a hill.
Yeah.
And I can't do sit-ups. I mean, with a gut like this,
Yeah.
I would, but I can't do sit-ups at the best of time. And
Yeah.
I'm like, how the fuck am I going to get out of this? It was across my legs and I was head first. I'm thinking I'll just lay here, four-wheel drive will come along sooner or later. And then the engine started burning through my pants.
Oh.
And I fucking became superhuman. I just lifted that bike off me and got it back down the hill and it was pretty knackered. I dropped it twice more going down the hill. I was so tired.
Yeah.
And then that's a whole other story, what happened down at the bottom of the hill. But
Yeah.
What happened at the bottom of the hill?
I set up camp and just as it was getting dark, this ute turned up and a guy got out of it and he's like, are you camping here? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, don't camp here. I'm like, why? He goes, we're camping 2 kilometres down the track, go down there. I'm like, nah, I'll stay here.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, if anything happens tonight, you sound your horn and I'll come running. What the fuck? Anyway, the next morning I woke up and unzipped the tent and he was sat on the picnic table with a rifle. And I was shitting. I'm thinking, fuck, this is Ivan Milat. Like, I'm dead.
Yeah.
What the hell?
And I just said, what the fuck are you doing? He said, did you not hear the dogs last night? I'm like, no. He said, go and have a look at your pannier. They'd actually, I've got aluminium panniers and I'd only clipped it down, but mustn't have done it properly. And the dogs got in and pulled everything out. I'm like, fucking hell, they're only dingoes, aren't they? And he said, nah, not around here, mate. He goes, they're wild dogs.
Oh,
Really?
He said there was about 30 of them, that's why I came up. I could hear them all howling and carrying on. He goes, you must have been dead to the world. He said,
Jesus.
the reason why I told you not to stay here is all those bones there, they're all cattle bones where they brought down bloody calves and stuff and eaten them and just left the bones. I'm like, shit.
Yeah, it's also like, give us a heads up when you say don't stay here.
Yeah.
Oh, because there's wild dogs. You should stay with us. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll do that. You know what I mean? You've left out some information there,
Yeah.
Jan.
You know, I got to compete with wild dogs and the locals, right? You know, like which is, are they arguing over who's going to kill me first? You know? Yeah. Oh man, that is crazy.
So you just got back from Nepal as
I
well.
have,
Tell us
and
about
that
that.
was probably some of the best riding I've done, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Awesome country.
And what were you riding?
Little Royal Enfield Himalayans, or Himalayans as the locals call them. 411 cc's of nothing.
Yeah.
No suspension. At altitude, we were riding carbide ones. So once you go up to altitude, they're just shit. Like your first gear everywhere.
Yeah. Really.
Because I was trying to get ahead of everyone so I could take photos.
Yeah.
It was just not happening. So the mechanic said, just pull the air filter out of it. So I did that and tripled the horsepower straight away.
Oh really? Oh man.
Sucking in all that Himalayan dust and shit.
Yeah, right.
Man, so it was it with the tours?
Yeah, it was.
What are they called again?
There's a company over there called Altitude Riders.
Yeah.
So I did 2 back-to-back tours with them.
Yeah.
It was a group of Americans on both tours brought over by a guy called Brett Tax, who was like, go on YouTube and watch his videos. They're freaking awesome. They'll teach you how to ride like a pro.
Yeah. Right.
They are really good.
Yeah.
So we rode together for the two tours, so it sort of spread across 5 weeks.
Yep.
The first one went up to the Upper Mustang, so right up near the Chinese border.
Yep.
A place pretty remote. They get about 2,000 to 4,000 tourists a year, even pre-COVID. And then the second one was even more remote in central Nepal. It was like these towns that have these roads that essentially no one goes to these towns because they're just dead-end roads.
So it's just
pretty cool.
amazing scenery you could not see in a car. You just
You could do it in a car if you wanted to, but you wouldn't enjoy it the same way.
really. Man.
Some of the, going up to the Upper Mustang, the tracks are pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
the sides of mountains
Yes.
slide down all the time, so that the tracks get sort of almost washed away, and then they just go back and bulldoze all the shit out the way. But a lot of it gets left, so they're pretty rough and rutted and wet. And
do you find you don't get to enjoy parts of the ride because you are working as well? Because me and Nick find that sometimes we're like, oh, we've got to get the fucking drone out. And sometimes you're like, you just want to, but you've got to create content, otherwise you can't be there. You know what I mean? Does anyone find that exhausting?
Yeah, I tend to take just one camera with a lens that covers a broad range, so like a 28 to 300 mil.
Yeah.
You know,
God, that is wild. That is awesome.
It's a good lens, but it's got its limitations. It's pretty slow and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, you can't use a wide open aperture, and I think it's pretty bloody slow in that regards. But it's a good lens if anything happens to it. You know, you can sort of fix it there and then or throw it away. It's it's not millions of dollars worth of stuff that could get damaged. And it could happen. Like they get knocked around a fair bit. And the cameras I take are sort of older Nikon Pro cameras. You know, they're pretty tough, but I'm not too concerned if something happens to them as well, as long as I've got the memory card.
Yeah. Oh, that's great, man. So you got it down to a fine art now.
I've been doing it long enough, so
probably made a lot of mistakes on the way.
But like you said, Brett, it does sort of give me the shits that I can't really enjoy where I am because I've constantly got the camera or taking notes or doing whatever.
Yeah, but then it's like that's that double-edged sword. It's like if you don't do it, then you can't be there. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes even like it's boring and stuff, but you're like, all right, you just had a big day riding, but you've got to offload 3 fucking memory cards and it takes an hour, and you just want to have a beer and a hot shower and not think about it, and you're just like looking at data lines. You're like, fuck.
The way I do that is like I'll just take tons of memory cards and just keep them. I'm not actually process anything until I get home, so I don't have to worry about that. I can have a beer with the boys after the ride or something.
Yeah.
The other upside of it is on group rides is because I'm constantly trying to get well ahead of everyone, so I can get the photos of them coming through. I'm allowed to scoot off and have a bit of fun. Which is a bad thing sometimes too, because you're going that hard. 40 kilometres an hour on a Royal Enfield's pretty hard. You're doing that, so you're not actually taking in where you are as well. So you're just trying to get, a few.
Because you've got a mission. Yeah.
I find it's bad, but it's also really good because I would hate just booking a tour. And not, just booking a tour and then just going on it. Like I always had the dream of work and travel. Like when I used to travel before I did stand up and all that kind of stuff. I remember I had a mate and he travelled around with bagpipes. He just bussed in South America just doing bagpipes. And that's how he met people. He met the locals. They're like, oh, you play the bagpipes? No one does that. And they went to his house and stuff. And I find that's the awesome thing about what we do is, like, people ask or people go, oh, yeah, cool. Well, I'll go on camera for sure. Oh, yeah, come and see my snakes or whatever. Met this snake fan. Cool. And, it's so cool because...
That is the other benefit of it. Is like, with the classic example of the snake thing. We did Tassie ride, and then Nick's friend collects snakes and catches them or whatever. And because we had cameras, he's like, yeah, come over and film all the snakes. And I didn't fucking pick it up. I was too fucking scared. But Nick picked up the snake or whatever. Like, we would never in our life normally experience that situation if we weren't filming, even if it is for YouTube or whatever. But people are like, no, come over. They're more excited.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and it's crazy because the Royal Enfield, the Himalaya. I remember I had a choice, maybe to buy one of those or whatever. My dad once lent me his Sateo 650. And a lot like the Himalaya in the fact that it's like a tractor. Like all the other bikes got bogged on the beach on Fraser Island. This thing just kept going. But not a fun bike to ride. The wheel does not come up, no matter how much you give it to it. It does not come up. When you jump, the back wheel's fully up in the air. I knocked the fucking back number plate off from air in a Sateo. Dad's like, you should not jump a BMW Sateo that high. It's destroyed. And so it must have been good to have a Himalaya, like not fun, but the fact that you were just probably upright the whole time, right?
I didn't drop mine once. I shouldn't say that. I dropped them twice, but once it actually got blown over. It was on the stand and the wind just blew it over. And another
that doesn't count.
And another one, I'd parked to take photos, and one of the girls riding went past a bit close, and I think she either clipped it or the wind off her bike knocked mine over.
Ah.
So I was like, Jesus.
Yeah.
And they're not light. That's the funny thing, but they do stand quite upright on the stand. So, but as far as dropping them, you're never going to drop those things. They go too slow.
Oh, so great, man! It's so great. And speaking of female rising or something I liked about your magazine is you actually have a lot of female contributors to the magazine. That is awesome, man. And did you make a conscious decision, or did a lot of female writers come forward?
It was never a conscious decision.
Yeah.
But in the first issue, we had Heather Ellis, who's a bit of a local hero.
Yeah.
Here. Back in the 90s, she rode her bike from Darwin down to Perth and then across to South Africa and then all the way up through Africa and end up in London. Before anyone was doing it, before it became popular.
Yeah.
She did it. I mean, people had done it, but back then it was unheard of.
Yes.
So she did it, and her story is just amazing. So I was always sort of idolising her. And then when she rode home through Russia and everything a few years later, her story as a follow-up to what happened going up through Africa was just, whoa, how could you go on?
Wow.
So her story was just amazing. She's got 2 brilliant books.
Yeah.
Ubuntu and I can't remember the
Oh, we'll have to get her on.
Yeah.
Sounds like a guest we'd love to have on.
Yeah, she's got great stories.
Oh man, that's so amazing. And north of Africa and things like that. That is extremely amazing. I remember I met a guy once, and he was cycling around the world on a mountain bike.
Yeah.
And I kept up with his blog, and he just skipped the north of Africa. He was like, I can't do it. Yeah, it's wild. Too wild. Yeah. So that's so amazing, man.
Yeah. So you got her. So you're like, well, if we have the opportunity to get her in or on the magazine, we'll just fucking do it.
Yeah. Well, Heather and I had sort of known each other, not well, but we'd met each other a few times. So I said to her, look, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I do a story, and she's like, yeah, sure.
Wow.
So she did her story, and it sort of went from there. It was like,
and that just opened down the floodgates, and you're like, great, there's more.
There's a lot of women doing amazing stuff.
Oh yeah, we went. I'm trying to get a few. There's a few girls on the Think who do the Think Desert Race, and one of them did the double last year. It's like there is amazing riders out there, and like it's there hasn't been a big shift on media focused on it yet, but it's there, and the great riders are there, and they've got great stories.
Yeah, I think if you look at women who are doing stuff, there's probably a greater percentage of women doing amazing stuff than what there are men.
Yeah.
A lot of men will go like,
come off it, man. All right, you know what I mean? Don't belittle us too much. What are you saying here? No, that is true, mate. That is fully true. That is so amazing. And also you do have a lot of different age ranges of riders as well, which I saw as well, which is amazing. So how do you think riding has changed since you started? Obviously the adventure is more in now and things like that. But
I think the thing I've seen in the last 5 or 6 years is that the adventure bike term has been hijacked by dirt bikes. Anything that's made to go off-road now is a bloody adventure bike.
Yes.
And people think they can travel around. I'm not saying they can't, but people think that they can easily travel around the world on a 125 or a 250 or something. Well, you can do it, and people do it.
Yeah.
But are you going to be totally comfortable? Probably not.
Yeah, and that's where the thing is, like riding a dirt bike around for an hour with the skinny seat, who gives a shit? 8 hours sitting on that thing, you want to kill yourself, you know what I mean? That's why, even on the DR650, which is a very reliable, solid bike, but there's got so many flaws on it, the seat, there's so many, there's not a lot you have to do, but once I put the seat on it, it was such a game changer. I can now sit on it for 8 hours, and I've got a bad back, and I don't have any real back issues on that thing, The seat cost me $1,000. It cost me half as much as I paid for the motorbike, but it's worth it, you know?
But that's a good thing about adventure bikes as well, though, that everyone customises their bike to suit their own needs. There's no two that are the same.
No,
that's the coolest thing. Like I got a 96 XT 600, and the term I remember up until 2010 or 2015, there was no adventure bike term. No. It didn't exist.
Well, even the inventors of the adventure bike, BMW. They call their bikes GS, which essentially means off-road, on-road. On-road, off-road. They weren't even classed as adventure bikes until Charlie and Ewan rode them around.
Really.
We can do this, let's do it.
Yeah.
You can do it if you've got massive support crew.
Yeah.
But they at least started something that they made people realise this is not as hard as what it looks. You can do it if you've got the right mindset.
Yeah.
You want to do it.
That's the thing as well. Like there's two ways to do adventure bike riding as well. Like you see just the nice gravel roads and stuff. And the first big ride I did was with Nick and his mates about 3 or 4 years ago. And I kind of was like, man, we're going to be like Charlie Baldwin. I'm just going to be sitting on a dirt road with my panties, 80 Ks, just cruising along. And then and they just take you into some fuck places and you're like, don't we need a dirt bike for this? And they're like, nah, this will do, you know what I mean? And that's like, there's two ways you can do anything, I suppose.
Yeah.
But that's probably the more fun way. But at the start, and even up till last year, I was like, I don't think I can do this bit. But then Nick rides off and I've got no fucking choice. It's either I stay down there and camp or I follow him.
Yeah.
And which is kind of good. It makes me a better rider. But it's like, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to be here.
We all get in situations like that.
Yeah.
Because I do a thing every year called the Frontline Safari. It's a guy, Clay Marks, who's based up in Sydney, who was former military, and he's seen a lot of his mates do the unthinkable and shit like that. So he works with Soldier On to promote mental health and stuff like that with returned servicemen and stuff. So they do a ride across the Simpson Desert every year. And
cool.
We take the youth up there and support them, and people jump in if they're a bit tired or get hurt or whatever. Like Clay did last year, he busted himself up pretty decently and came in the ute with me, and fucking just had a giggle like schoolgirls the whole time across the desert, having a hell of a lot of fun. But some of the stuff they do across there is pretty amazing. But on the way up to Mount Dare last year, some of the guys who were on their enduro bikes going up the ute and had a track pulled me aside that night over a few beers, and they were like, you do this shit every day? I'm like, yeah, why? And they're like, this is fucked. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, fucking, you ride 400 kilometres in one day just on a road like that. I'm like, yeah, on a bigger bike than what you've got.
Yeah.
And they were like, I don't know how you do it. I'm like, well, you're on the fucking wrong bikes to start with. You're on enduro bikes. Like, if you look at my GS, it's got a fucking lounge seat.
Yeah, it's got heated handlebars. You know what I mean? Yeah, hand grip, sorry.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to change, like I want to change, but while I'm still kind of young, well, I'm 40 now, but I'm like, oh, shit, I'm not going to sell the XT. I bought it for $2,000. There's no way. I'd be losing money. But I'm like, I've got to get a WR450 just while I'm still got the strength to get my arms ripped off.
To do the good stuff.
Yeah, to do the good shit. Then, because once I get an 800, I won't go back. There's no way. There's no way I'm going back to a 450 or anything like that. I'll be like, this is so beautiful.
Oh, it's all relative though. 450s are half the weight of a bloody 800 GS or something. It's,
so...
You'd never take a GS across what people do, and I have, but you wouldn't do it time after time. It's one of those things you tick it off once and go, fuck it, I'm never going to do that again.
I've got it through once, that's enough, I don't need to do it again.
But there was guys who did it, there was 4 or 5 10RAs, T7s who did it this time, and those guys were good riders, really good, but they're all fucked every day.
Right.
Just give me one beer and then I'm going to bed.
Yeah, I mean, even the 8 hours on a bike off-road is, you know what I mean? If you're not used to it as well, like I came back from that last ride, and normally I've got man boobs or whatever, I had pecs, and I was like, fucking hell, bro, you alright? It went after a week as soon as I stopped riding, but just doing that all day, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's good fun, and you end up sweating it out in the suit anyway. You put on all the weight from all the Palmers and the 10 years you have at night. But 8 hours of solid riding, you never sleep better.
Oh yeah, it's the best. And I love hearing stories. We had Jake Simkin on the last episode. I don't know if you've heard about him. And he was saying, I love hearing a story about him. He showed us his shitty KLE 500, and he's like, I still keep up with DRZs on this. I love that. That's what I love. Pure psychos. They just come on like a piece of shit and just pin it. That's hornier than ever. You know what I mean? That's sick.
So, have you got any plans for your next magazine episode? Where are we going to go? What are you going to be riding? Are you got another adventure plan?
The next issue, because most of the stuff that's in Traverse is not written in-house. It's not by me or anyone else who works for the magazine. It's just contributors, so it's stories from all over the place. Having said that, there's a couple more Nepal stories and an Indian story that have been written in-house, but there's also Italy. I think Spain's in one as well. There's Morocco coming up as well.
How do you do you go on dirt tracks there, or is it roads? Like, and if you do the dirt tracks there, how do you source them? Have you got contacts there, or what do you
in the other countries and stuff?
Yeah.
No, usually if it's me, if I see a track come off the main dirt road or something, I'll say, oh, that looks interesting. I'll just go up there and see where it goes.
Yeah, great.
That's a great thing about a bike, that you can take them into those sorts of places, and if it ends up going nowhere, you just turn around and come back, or ride through the bush if you have to, or something like that. There's a lot of places where you can't do it, like Nepal, you couldn't do it. Like, you go off the road there and you're going up a mountain or going down a cliff or something. There's no other tracks anywhere, so you can't really take them. But you can certainly ride through some of the little towns and everything and find the local tracks, like they're walking tracks. They'll let you take your bikes on those. The swing bridges. You ride your bikes across those.
I was going to say, the roads in Nepal, I assume I've never been, but I reckon they'd all be pretty crazy and windy and turny, so you'd be having a ball of fun on most of them.
They are sort of crazy. They're not as windy as the ones in the Himalayas in India.
Yeah, right.
Like,
okay.
Jesus, they have a lot of hairpins over there, because they'll just go straight up the side of a mountain, whereas in Nepal, you'll ride along the edge of a mountain until there's a bit of a clearing and then go through, and then you might have to double back. So to do 20 kilometres, you might end up riding 100 kilometres or something.
Oh, wow.
Whereas in India, they just have roads that just wind
They're like, nah, fuck this, straight up.
Yeah. That is incredible.
You know that road in Tasmania, what's it called, Jacob's Ladder?
Yeah, we did it,
Yeah, they make that just look like someone's driveway.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because even some of those, I was like, Jesus, you know what I mean? Trying to get up there.
So you must be like the king rider now, man. Do you feel you get better and better every time, or do you feel like you get worse?
I do. I wouldn't say like, I'm an okay rider. I wouldn't say I was a great rider.
Yeah.
Earlier this year, I went to do a story on Michael Burgess, the Dakar rider.
Yeah.
He does a road book training course, so I went and spent a weekend with him doing that and had a bit of a laugh and everything. And at the end of it, he's like, how'd you find it? I'm like, fucking hell, I don't know how you have so many things going through your head all at the same time, and you're riding at 150 kilometres an hour. And he goes, yeah, you're a shit rider, so that's why you struggle. Like, fair call. I did struggle, like, just riding through the bush around Bendigo. I was like, too many things to concentrate on. Like, I'd just like to get out and go, but not doing this. I was on his KTM riding at about 10 kilometres an hour going, fuck, when's the next checkpoint coming up? And
And sometimes when you get overwhelmed, like I'm glad Nick normally navigates and has the map. I can't even, if there's something in front of me that's a distraction, I'm like, there's too many fucking things going, you know what I mean? You know? So, but I suppose that's probably why he's a pro and fucking does it. And also, if you're on a different bike that you've never ridden before, that you already got back behind, you know?
Yeah, I guess. But it gave me a greater appreciation of what those Dakar or the rally riders, what they do. Like,
they are crazy.
They are the best of the best. There's no doubt about it.
That's insane.
What they do.
Yeah. Just keeping the weight off the front wheel for that long.
Yeah.
But also keeping your balance in the right position.
But even that wheel where they fucking navigate off, that alone would break my head. You know,
that's the thing that broke my head. Like, working out what each of the tulips, the marks mean, and like, shit, where do I turn now? And I got lost on one of their tracks. I was like, well and truly lost. Like, I had Google Maps out going, where the fuck am I? And they were already at the servo, everyone else waiting for me. I'm like, I've got no idea where I am, no phone coverage. And I was like, Jesus, what do I do?
So man, let's just talk real quickly, because we've got heaps of Australian listeners and they all want some good tracks. I want to know two things. What's your favourite track around the Victoria, area? Would you say,
or a decent track you're a
Melbourne that we can go ride do you really like?
Just for a bit of fun, I actually don't mind going out to the Brisbane Ranges.
Yeah, right, okay.
Which is only 45 minutes away from the western suburbs. It's not that far. It's all easy stuff, but there's some good walking tracks that you can actually go on if you're prepared to run the risk a bit. Some good fun through there. It's a state park, so you've got to be careful because there are rangers out all the time.
Is that near Labourtouche?
No, it's near Anarchy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so not far from Geelong.
Gotcha.
Sort of the back end of Bacchus Marsh, that area.
Yeah.
You've got Wombat on one side and then Brisbane Ranges on the other side of Bacchus Marsh.
Yep, perfect.
It's easy to get to. The Otways,
Yeah.
There's some bloody awesome riding down there.
Yeah, beautiful.
Like you could spend a lifetime down there finding more and more stuff.
Yeah. My partner and I got stuck there in a BMW Golf, and I was hitting the corners like a motorbike, and she made me get out of the car and she drove then. I
found
it was so fun.
This little website, it's called Oz Trails or something like that the other week, and the guys have got like little pin drops all around Victoria. And I've just started doing one a weekend. I'm doing another one tomorrow, but they've got like just GoPro 10s on or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this is a track we found here. And it doesn't have any GPS coordinates, but it's around here. And they just go off and you're like, all right. So I'm just trying to go through and just find something fucking different. I was in Powtown.
Oh, yeah.
And I found a little fire trail that went up the side of a mountain. It wasn't anything too crazy, but I was by myself and I had a fucking great time.
Yeah.
So it was about 45 minutes on the dirt.
Yeah.
But something, if you're only an hour out of the city, you laugh and you can find anything. So
I sort of had the attitude that if you go somewhere and you see a track, just take it.
Yeah, right.
It'll take you somewhere good.
Yeah, I figured out a good way when I was navigating the way back was, if I saw a track going in the direction and then you see how much it adds on. You know, if it adds 2 hours on, you're like, oh, maybe. But if it adds 10 minutes, half an hour, well, outside of Orange, that was amazing. I just kept going on these dirt roads and would add, probably half an hour, 45 on.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. Yeah, it's like, this is way better than just sitting on the highway, and I had a ball.
Yeah.
But also, the last question I want to ask me, because you were riding along the desert there, is desert riding any good? Because it just seems awful to me.
No,
it's really good.
I love being out in the desert. Like the openness, the solitude, like you could do some of those, the main tracks, the easy ones. You do those and not see anyone for days.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
And is it just all straight? Do you have any corners?
There's some corners, they don't come up all that often. But they're a great way to see them.
Yeah,
place. And they change every time you're on them as well. Like,
really?
Yeah, there's, sometimes they're well graded, the next time might be just all chopped up and shitty and a real challenge to get through. If it starts raining, that adds another challenge to it.
Yeah, we're pretty good at finding rain. So even if you live in an area that the desert hasn't seen rain in about 7 years, we'll book a trip there and you'll be flooded the next day. Rain follows us. I swear to God.
Oh, great, mate. All right. Well, thank you so much for talking to us.
And so people can, if they want to subscribe to your magazine, just go on to traverse.com.au. Is that correct?
Traverse-magazine.com.
Yeah, and they can find you on Instagram. What's your handle there?
Traverse Mag. Facebook's Traverse Mag and Twitter, but no one uses Twitter anymore.
Yeah, no one uses Twitter anymore. But guys, if you're into this, get on towards subscribe, give them a like as well. Go check out the magazine. There's some fucking great content in there. If you're not dyslexic like me, you'll bloody enjoy it.
Yeah, good pictures as well.
There's great pictures, and you can't go wrong. But Leigh, thank you very much for joining us on Flat Stick. We really appreciate your time. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, guys.
Also, before we go, we do have to say that we've got our Brew Dude shows in Perth and Adelaide. So make sure you get around those. If you love a beer, come along. You can come to the Melbourne show, Leigh. You'll get like a beer. You're drinking a San Miguel.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we had a motorbike on stage last year, so you'll love it. Yeah. Also, we've got our comedy solo show. Nick's got your show called
Hold Me Closer, Tiny Cancer.
And I've got Dog Acts coming to Brisbane, Sydney, Perth, Melbourne, fucking wherever. So find tickets, links in bio. Until next time, keep it flat. Stick. Oh,
this is filmed at the Belfry.